Okay, we've been talking about church lately, and this month of September, right? And today will be the last part of the series. Title of the series is, you know this obviously. It's Next Church Project, and we looked at Book of Mark in the first Sunday, and last two Sundays we looked at Book of Acts. And today I'd like to lead you to today's passage, Book of Acts, chapter 2, verse 42 to 47. It's in your bulletin. It's on the screen. Oh, it's up there already. It's in your Bible too. How about I'll read all the even verses. You read all the odd verses. Okay? I'll make it even. You'll make it odd. Okay. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread and to prayer. All the believers were together and had everything in common. Every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts. Okay, recently I found something very interesting, kind of funny, in my Facebook timeline. That's what I call it, right? Timeline? Yeah, right? Okay. It was the Charlie Brown image saying this. Sometimes I just want someone to hug me and say, I understand your pain. It's going to be okay. Here's a coffee and $2 million. Don't you sometimes feel like this? I mean, I feel, I understand. I really want somebody to come to me and say, I understand your pain. It's going to be okay. Here's coffee and $2 million. I'm totally okay with giving up the first part, coffee. I know coffee is a big thing, but I can't give that up. I can drop that. But if somebody can give me $2 million, I will. I know. It's gonna be burden on me, but still, it's just taking that generosity of that person from heart. I'll take the money for that person's sake. $2 million. That's not much, but I'll still take it. But sometimes we do feel like that, right? I feel a little blue, lonely, and $2 million will help us a little bit, right? But money is one of the probably main issues we'll probably have to wrestle with in our life. Sometimes we do have, just too less money, and sometimes we do have too less money. Sometimes we do have too less money, right? We never have enough. But the thing is, money is one of the issues we do deal with in our lives, and we've been talking about church, so I kind of connected that to church. How about money and church? What does church? What kind of stand does church have to take in terms of money? If church has too much money, does it kind of look good to us? Does it kind of look good to you? If a church has too less money, does it look kind of good to people? I kind of struggle a little bit with that. Like, how much money does church have to have? How much money, like, I don't know, church has to like store up in the bank account or anything like that? What is the good picture about church and money? Today's passage is kind of a little bit about that. It shows, it doesn't really talk about exact money literally, but it talks about possessions and property. And if you look at it, it does talk about that. But before I lead you to that, today's passage shows a kind of like ideal church. People talk about this. Everybody who goes to church, especially pastors, they talk about Acts 2 church. It's like the church, like the goal for every church out there. Acts 2 church. And it actually looks beautiful. It looks awesome. I'll read the passage to you again. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of the bread and to prayer. Everyone was filled with awe at the many wonders and signs performed by the apostles. All the believers were together and had everything in common. They sold property and possessions to give to anyone who had need. Every day, they continued to meet together in temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts. I mean, if you look at today, this passage is this beautiful picture of church. And every church out there, including, I believe, this church, want to be this kind of Acts 2 church. But whether we want it or not, in this passage, there is one picture we may have little hard time to accept, which is about, again, money. If you look at verse 44, it goes like this. All the believers were together and had everything in common. Had everything in common. Okay? And they sold property and possessions to give to anyone who had need. It looks beautiful. But I thought about this. What if in CIC, we set this thing as a kind of rule? I'm going to pull myself away from this because it's kind of dangerous thing. How about Pastor John, okay, Larry, and Dr. Pellin too? Because he has this Gandalf look, so we got to kind of listen and follow. Anyway, okay, so all the figures who have this authority type of, power, okay? They all stand here together. Just imagine this, okay? Pastor John, Larry, Dr. Pellin. I'm like flipping the PowerPoint back there, okay? And saying, we're going to follow this Acts 2 church, CIC. We're going to do this, okay? So from now on, all the members of CIC going to go out there and sell all your property and bring the cash here, and we're going to share everything in common. This is going to be rule for CIC. If you want to be a member of this church, you have to do this. This is a prerequisite for everybody in this church to be here, belong to this community. Then what's going to happen? None of you are going to be here. You're all going to flee away, right? Right? And the TV show is going to come here and make a show out of us. And you're going to see Dr. Pellin, Pastor John, and Larry on the TV having little voice, little tweaked, like, hey, I didn't really want to do this, you know. They do this sound little effect so that they can keep this identity, personal identity, whatever. And then they're going to do the little mosaic thing over the face and say, in the first place, I didn't really want to, but it was all that other guys thought, but it was going to be weird, right? Did you ever imagine this? Sell everything. Maybe none of you really has much. That's why your face is all peaceful. But I have 3 buildings in Seoul, actually. No, I'm kidding. Sell everything and come here, share everything together. That's very radical, isn't it? Yeah, it is very radical thought. I mean, if you imagine this, it sounds like very out there, and you don't really want to do this. I thought about this. Then, what do we have to do with this passage? And Acts the church, this is what they did. They went out, sold everything, they came together and shared everything in common. That's what they did. The first church, I mean, the ideal church we all dream and imagine. And Acts the church is doing this. And how do we have to deal with this part? I mean, if we don't want to set this as a rule, what do we have to do about this? And I came to this conclusion. I was actually a political science major when I was in college, and I actually wrote a paper about this passage when I was in seminary, because I compared the communism and Acts to church, because to me it's so like a communist thought, sold everything, share everything together. It's so communist. So I wrote a paper about this. Do you know what is the actual difference between communism and Acts the church? Simple. Communism, they did this. It's the exactly same thing actually, as a rule. They set the rule. You know what? This is what we're gonna do as a rule. But Acts the church, listen to this. They never actually had a rule. There was a no rule saying from now on you go out there, sell your own property and bring all your possession here. We're going to share everything as a rule. They never actually said that. They did this all from their heart. You know, generosity cannot be a generosity with a rule, because you cannot have a forced generous heart, right? It's got to come out of your heart just spontaneously and naturally, and it's got to be voluntarily happen. Something similar actually happened in our lives not long ago. I read an article that's written by a New York Times columnist. Isn't it amazing? I actually read the New York Times. His name was Nicholas Kristof, and he wrote an article about Ice Bucket Challenge. Remember that? Ice Bucket Challenge? The title of the article was Payday for Ice Bucket Challenges Mocked Slacktivists, Nicholas Kristof. It starts off like this. The aim of the Ice Bucket Challenge was to raise money to combat ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig disease, a neurodegenerative ailment that affects some 15,000 Americans and usually leads to death within 5 years. And it was very hot, actually, a year ago. Remember that? Everybody was doing this. Yeah, everybody was doing this. I even did it. I remember Larry did it. I remember Pastor John did it. And I'm going to show you the video, actually. Video. Ice Bucket Challenge. That's, remember, he's one of our music worship leader. He did it. I know that he didn't really, oh, Larry. Ice Bucket Challenge right there. Ooh, who's the man here? Batman. Pastor John, in front of his apartment. Look at his face. But if you look at the amount of water, I can feel their heart. They are not really willing to do that. Though they say, we look at my water. It's a lot of water. You're going to see the amount right now. Wow. I'm still getting water. It's a lot of water. I'm still doing it. You see, I'm going to say, just from the object point of view, you know, it depends on the amount of water. I mean, how much water you pour out on your head. That actually shows how much you're willing to commit yourself to this sacrificial act. And those the other three people who did that before me, you know, you can see the amount of water, like very just small amount of water. You see what I'm saying? Anyway, look, everybody did it, right? And it's either you do that or donate. Was it $100? Was it a certain amount of money to this ALS? What do you call it? The foundation or something, right? That's how it worked. I actually did it both, just in case. I dumped myself into that water thing, and then I donated a certain amount of money to foundation too. But the article went on. It goes further. One on Time.com declared it. Where am I? But commentators scoffed. One on Time.com declared it problematic in almost every way. Critics sniped that the challenge wasted water and cannibalized contributions to better causes that affect more people. The Ice Bucket Challenge was taken as emblematic of slacktivism, the derisive term of cheap ways to feel good without doing anything meaningful. Cheap ways to feel good without doing anything meaningful. Critics point to internet campaigns, the Stop Coney movement, and the Ice Bucket Challenge as merely symbolic ways for young narcissists to preen without actually achieving any change. But now we have evidence that the Ice Bucket Challenge may have worked. Scientists studying ALS have reported a breakthrough that could lead to therapy, not just for ALS, but for other ailments too. And they say the money raised in the Ice Bucket Challenge was crucial. Here's translation. This research focused on a protein called TDP43 that in some circumstances is linked to cell death in the brain or spinal cord of patients. The scientists found that inserting a custom designed protein allows cells to return to normal. I don't really understand what he's saying here, but it sounds like somebody can get better. Okay? If it works in mice, the following step would be to seek to conduct a clinical trial in humans, he said. The Ice Bucket Challenge went viral in 2014 partly because it was so much fun to watch videos of celebrities or friends dumping ice water on their heads. Videos like this, videos of people in the challenge have been watched more than 10 billion times on Facebook alone, more than once per person on the planet. I was one of the 17 million who uploaded a video of my drenching to Facebook, this columnist from New York Times. The ALS Association says the Ice Bucket Challenge raised $115 million in 6 weeks. $115 million in 6 weeks. And many participants have become repeat donors. Google also reports there were more researchers for ALS in 2014 than in the entire previous decade. It's true that slacktivism doesn't always work. With the Ice Bucket Challenge, however, there's a little evidence of cannibalization that hurt other causes, and it seems to have been revolutionary for this one. Across the ALS community, we are probably in our highest time of hope, said Barbara Newhouse, president of the ALS Association. So, if you endured an ice dunking a year ago, or if you're participating in the 2015 Ice Bucket Challenge now underway, there is no need to apologize or for having fun. Rather, thank you. Enough with the eye-rolling, long-live slacktivism. That was the article. Which actually means we had a lot of fun with the Ice Bucket Challenge last year. It was around summer, right? We feel some people said, hey, isn't it just for fun? That's gonna hurt reputation for those people who actually do the good work. But all those little things that we did, maybe for fun partly, but for goodwill in the other part, that actually helped those people who suffered ALS. Just a little thing has led to a big thing, right? And we remember something, a story kind of similar to this. If you look at one of the the most well-known Bible verse from Bible. What is it? John 3:16, right? What does it say? It says, God so loved the world. He did what? He gave. He gave his one and only son. He didn't change the whole world upside down. God so loved the world, he turned the whole world upside down. Bible doesn't say that. He gave. Very small portion. I mean, from our view, it's a very little thing. He gave his one and only son. But what happened after that? Whosoever believes in him will not perish but have everlasting life. Right? Maybe small thing, little sacrifice, but that was led to big change. If you think about today's passage, it was all voluntary work. Those people inside the church, they were not forced to bring their possession. They were not forced to sell their property and bring that possession to share with other people. They were not under pressure like that. They did it out of their heart. And that little change, that little sacrifice was a foundation for the early church. And eventually, look at today's world. A lot of Christians out there. Why? Not just because of this sacrifice, probably, but I can say this. Generosity was a big part of early church, which was led to this amazing Christendom we're living right now. Grace through one man, that made big change. And we did also very similar thing not long ago. If you remember this, I don't know if you can remember this, but last year about this time, we had a guest at our church. was a family, and the father's name was Emmanuel, and he was from Pakistan. Remember him? And he brought whole family here. Emmanuel, his wife, Sana, and three little girls. And Emmanuel was a refugee from Pakistan. He was a lawyer there, and was a Christian, and he was fighting hard for the Christian community against the Muslim terrorism and terrorists and then threat. And he happened to be actually under a threat, and he had to leave his home country with his family, and he came to Korea as a refuge. I got a phone call from him about a month, 2 months ago. I was saying his family is going back to Pakistan because his mother-in-law is very sick. So his wife and three daughters now went back to Pakistan. And before that happened, he said he wanted to come to our church and say thank you. And I so wanted to invite them here to CIC too, but they only had one Sunday left before they flew out. So they came to Riverside Church. So I'm gonna show you the video clip that we made out of the visit. So, video. Okay, I'm gonna translate, okay? Remember? Emmanuel, brother Emmanuel, Sana, wife. 믿음, 소망, 사랑, faith, hope, love. The three daughters' name. Remember that? Hope had a hearing problem from the birth. And you and I came to this prayers, came to this decisions to help the family. So Hope got a surgery. And you all jumped into this. We raised up 26 million won. All four churches. This church, Riverside, Bali, all four churches. Are you ready for goosebumps? Did you hear her voice? Who's this? Did you hear that voice? Who am I? She said, Oppa. God is alive. She just called me Oppa. And Emmanuel had a few words to say. And he's gonna. I'm translating, by the way. We had a family over at my place before they flew out. It was amazing. That little girl, now she can speak. She was like, 목사님, 목사님, which means pastor, pastor. I'm like, that's amazing. Hope, that's her name. But call me Oppa. Anyway, and we raised up enough money, not just for her first surgery, which was her right ear. Now she's gonna take the second surgery for her left ear. But we raised up enough money for both ears and for rehab too. And she's gonna do all the rest of rehab in Pakistan now. And if they don't have enough facility for the second surgery, they're gonna come back out here in Korea and get the second surgery, and then she's gonna speak better and listen better, and with that lips, with that voice, she's gonna praise God. She's gonna witness to other people. She's gonna listen to God's word, and God is gonna do even more amazing thing through her. And I believe that it all started from generosity of this church. And I'll say there are a lot of things church gotta do and church gotta keep, but generosity, it's one of the key things church should never ever lose. I heard that there's a song from Disney movie. It's very what should I say? Holy song. It summarizes various strains of the church, and I'll show you a little bit from little parts from here and there from this song, how it actually reflects this. From this song, there's a part. It goes like this: "Don't let them in, don't let them see." It actually explains, summarizes the type of church of brethren. Don't let them in, don't let them see. Brethren church. And this part, listen to this part. Be the good girl you always have to be. Catholic church. Be the good girl you always have to be. Okay. How about this part? Conceal, don't feel, don't let them know. Conservative church. Conceal, don't feel, don't let them know. Conservative. Okay. How about this? I forgot the. I don't care what they're. I don't care what they're going to. How does it go in the song? I don't care what they're. I don't care what they're going to say. Is it the right part? Okay. This is one of my favorite movies, actually. It's Independent Church. Okay? I don't care what they're going to say. Okay. How about this one? It's time to see what I can do to test the limits and break through. Charismatic church. Yeah. You know? It's time to see what I can do to test the limits and break through. Charismatic church. No right, no wrong, no rules for me. Liberal church. Are you laughing at my singing or laughing at the church thing? Okay, thank you. How about this one? Here I'll stay, and here I'll stay. Lutheran church. Yeah. How about this one? My power flows through the air into the ground. Pentecostal church. You know, my power flows through the air into the ground. How about this one? I'm never going back. The past is the past. Can't remember the part. You gotta help me here. I'm never going back. The past is in the past. Which part from the song? Listen to some Disney movie songs. Come on. I'm never going back. The past is in the... Anyway, it's a progressive church. Progressive church. Okay, last one. Oh, I know this part. The cold never bothered me anyway. Anglican church. Anyway, yeah, I thought it was funny. Yeah, it's funny, right? And not my singing, but the comparison with the church, right? Yeah, you can laugh at my church. I mean, not church, but my singing. Anyway, but after I looked at this all different parts, you know, of So from this song, Let It Go, and the church comparison, I thought of something, which is maybe there's one one part of the song that all the churches, it doesn't really matter what kind of denominational background you're from or what kind of traditional background you're from in your church, it doesn't really matter, but there's one part all the churches got to sing together, which is this. Let it go, let it go. Why? Because this part is so good and addictive. No, because this is one part all the churches got to sing together. Church is not a place, like everybody store up the things and say, hey, this is ours, this is our churches, and none of you can touch this. We're not going to share this with anybody else. No, there's one motto, there's one thing, there's one slogan. All the churches got to sing together. It doesn't really matter what kind of denominational background you're from. Let it go. Let it go. We're going to share. We're going to share with you. You can come. We're going to be, eat together. We're going to share with you together. We're going to share these things in common with you. We're going to help you if you're in need, right? This is a part all the church got to sing together and do together. Isn't it right? Yeah. And I want this church, even CIC, do the same thing. I don't know if you can remember this, but a few months ago, when this serious earthquake hit Nepal, we did also fundraising too, and we raised up 10 million won. And then we sent somebody to Nepal, all four churches in our network, and then we helped those people who are in need. Not just that, last week, we raised up a little bit amount of money, and I and some other people from Riverside Church, we went to this Jindo. It's an island. They had a seaport near that Sewol ferry tragedy happened last year. Remember that? There's still family there, that area, waiting for their family members' body to come back. And we went there, and we know that this season, this time of the year, they feel even lonelier because they cannot go back to their family because their family all broke apart. So we brought this food for this Chuseok season, and we raised up some money, and we delivered that to them, saying, hey, we're not alone. We just visited you to just let you know that. And they said something that just broke my heart. They said, we thought we're forgotten. It's been too long since that happened, a year and a half. Nobody comes to visit us anymore. We feel so forgotten. But isn't church supposed to be a group of people, the community, to just continue to reach out? Not just reach out, but reach into, take care of each other and saying, hey, if you are in need, if you need anything, we're going to be there for you. Isn't that type of community got to be a church? That's the church right there. Isn't it true? And I want that to happen, continue to happen in this community too. We're all lonely. We all need Jesus. We all need help. We all need each other. And we all gonna, with one heart, reach out to the people who are in need, like Christ did for us. This time, I'd like to have a time of prayer. I want you to pray for this church, CIC. This church is a very interesting church. Sometimes we have more than 50 people. Sometimes we have 3 people. I love this church. You never know what's going to happen next week. But one thing for sure is this. The reason why we gather here is not like we have space and we got nothing to do. There's only one reason why we gather here. Jesus Christ. That's the only reason. He's the only purpose for this interesting group of people. So I want you to pray for this church. Pray that this church continue to be Christ-centered. Every time we gather, we got to We got to hear the gospel. We got to hear something about him. And every time we gather here, please pray that we may have the same heart that is Christ-centered. Yes, this church is about Jesus Christ. Not just this church only, but my life is also about Jesus Christ. So let this community to be a community whenever we come. Yes, that's true. Amen to that. That kind of community. Just continue, please pray for that. And please pray for leaders and deacons and pastors of this church. We're humans too. We're like nothing. We get astray all the time. If you listen to my sermon, you know that already. Continue to pray for pastors and deacons and leaders and those people who volunteer for this church too. And lastly, pray for each other. You know, the person you just met, saying Happy Chuseok too. You know, very, very. We're all saying we all need Jesus. So pray for those people too. Okay, let's pray. Let's pray for this church.